alaikum everyone. I hope you guys are doing good. This is me, Abu Bakr Dilawar. I welcome you all to our latest episode of Founders Kahani. So, as you know that in Founders Kahani, we always invite different people from all around the world so that you guys can get your inspiration so you can start your entrepreneurship journey with a new hype, with a new idea, with a global experience. Because today in this world, we are living on the internet. So no matter where you are living in Pakistan, are you living in India, or you are living in USA, we are all the same because we are now the part of the one culture, which is the global culture. So today we have a very, very amazing guest with us all the way from Canada. Please welcome Ignacio. He is the director at iCube, which is an incubator center in Toronto. How are you, Ignacio?
I'm good. Thank you, Abu Bakr, for having me here today. I'm good here. I'm in Toronto right now in Canada, and it's pretty cold. So we could be better, but yeah, no major complaints. Everything else is good.
That's great. Yeah, we
How
are
was
in Lahore.
you?
It's pretty hot here right now.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Yeah, so Ignacio, this is Founders Kahani. Kahani means story in Urdu. So if we talk about like what's Ignacio's Kahani is.
What's my story? So my story is it's a long one. So I'm originally from Uruguay, and that's a small country in South America between Argentina, Brazil, and the Atlantic Ocean. And in Uruguay, I studied my bachelor in business administration program, and I started working right away at a business incubator. So I was part of a program where we were supporting entrepreneurs in creating and developing their businesses, and that's how I got like introduced to entrepreneurship first. And then I got very excited about entrepreneurship and I wanted to learn more and study more in the field. So I came to Canada and I did a master's in business, entrepreneurship, and technology at the University of Waterloo, which was a very interesting program that I enjoyed very much. It's a program that trains people to be entrepreneurs and also intrapreneurs. So potentially, if you go work for a larger company, it gives you the skills that you need to come up with ways of being an entrepreneur within an organization. So it was a very good program. After that, I started working at the Waterloo Accelerator Center. I was in charge of a program that started with a grant from the federal government, and then it was a very successful program. So we ended up getting a few $1 million to continue the program. And that program still runs to date. So it's been very successful, and I've seen other changes and improvements since I started it, but it still runs, and it's still like a key program like in the Kitchener-Waterloo region for sure. Then I left the Waterloo Accelerator Center and I started my own business with three other co-founders. My business was called Apartment, and it was a platform to help landlords and tenants connect. And it had a bunch of different tools and property management tools and so on. We had partnerships with TransUnion, so tenants could like pull their credit report and then share with different landlords as they were applying to different places to stay. But we had many different hiccups. We raised money from investors. We learned a lot of things, but in the end, it ended up not working out as planned. But luckily enough, we were able to have like a small exit. So not everything was lost, but it was a great experience. And then I started working at Holtec, which is the regional innovation center for the Halton region. So I was running the programs for scale-up companies, and now I'm with the University of Toronto, and I run iCube, which is one of the accelerators that is part of the University of Toronto. And we focus on supporting social enterprises. So most of our portfolio companies are companies that are for profit, but they also have a social mission. So they care about solving like pressing problems in the world that affect many people and sometimes affect people that are at a disadvantage. So we support those entrepreneurs, and we have a lot of programs that are tailored to underrepresented groups in entrepreneurship, like indigenous. We have an indigenous entrepreneurship program. We have programs for 2S LGBTQ plus entrepreneurs. We have programs for women identified entrepreneurs. So we care a lot about equity, diversity, and inclusion, and kind of lowering barriers for entrepreneurship to be like accessible for everyone in a way.
That's
So
really
that's
great. That's
my
really
my
great.
journey.
It's
Thanks. Yeah.
a very interesting journey, by the way. By the way, I was just thinking like your startup was solving the biggest problem of Canada, which it's facing right now.
I know the issue about that is that it's a problem for the tenants, but it's not really a problem for the landlords, right? So landlords, they're happy with how much they're charging. Like they're not like expecting or wanting big change that will be beneficial for the tenant. So it works well for them the way it is, right? So um, there's a lot of value that is very clear to one side of the users of the platform, but maybe the value for the landlord wasn't that strong at that point. So, and that's part of the game too, right? You need to create something that has value for everyone that you're selling that to. So making sure that uh, they they need what you are developing or creating, and it solves like a real problem, solves a real pain that they're facing. So I guess in order to create something that is successful, you need to make sure that that is met.
Yeah. Okay, so Ignacio, you were part of like managing startups in two different cultures. Like if we talk about Uruguay, it's like a small country and it's not as much diverse as compared to Canada. But like Canada is a very diverse country, especially Toronto. There are like a lot of Indian people over there. There are a lot of people from Pakistan. There are a lot of people from Philippines. There are Canadians. So what's the difference between the mindset of startup founders between these two places, like a place where there is less diverse culture or the place where there is diverse culture?
Yeah, so it's very different in terms like by looking at the entrepreneur. There's a lot of differences there for sure. I mean, when we look at Uruguay, it's a pretty homogeneous country where everyone looks the same. There isn't much diversity because it's a very small population that's actually declining in size year after year, with like very low like immigration rates and so on. So even though like entrepreneurial diversity might not be there, there's a lot of like great ideas and great entrepreneurs there as well. And the entrepreneurial ecosystem is pretty developed there. So there's a lot of people that I mean are lucky enough to maybe travel the world and see how other things work in other countries, and then being able to maybe adapt those innovations to fit like the Uruguayan needs and the Uruguayan cultures. Versus in Canada, being such a huge, uh, bigger market, there's like a wide diversity of entrepreneurs with many diverse backgrounds that bring a lot of like new creative and innovative ideas. Some of them from their home countries, or some of them like are facing different challenges as they land in Canada, and they want to like solve those problems by creating a company or innovation. So maybe in a way the products are different, but I think there's a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences in a way. Another example would be that Uruguay being such a small market with 3 million people living there, a lot of the innovation and entrepreneurship that happens has an export focus. So they're focusing on exporting and selling like outside of Uruguay to other countries. And many of the startups that are in Canada, they're happy with tackling the Canadian market. So even though like many of them, they have like a long-term vision of like expanding into other countries and exporting what they are offering, they don't start with like an export mindset. They start with potentially kind of serving the local market first, and then after having done that, looking into like expanding to like outside of Canada. So that might be kind of another difference that I have seen working with entrepreneurs, I guess, in both countries, in Uruguay and in Canada.
That's really great. That's really great. You know, being like you are also a startup founder and like you are now managing a startup business incubator. So, do you think, do you believe like your own startup experience, your own doing an exit helps you a lot in managing a incubator?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I lived firsthand what entrepreneurs go through. Uh, Like I quit my full-time job to dedicate my time to my business. I was there raising money from investors. I was there doing sales. I was there in the highs and lows of my business. So I have like insider information of how like running a business works. And that's also something that the participants from our programs value. The team that I have with me at iCube, they have also have founded and created their own companies. So they also have experienced what's like being an entrepreneur, and that's definitely something that is valued by the companies that we support. And they tell us that, and we keep hearing it, that we value that you have like actual experience in building a business, because a lot of people that are running or being part of other programs don't have that, so don't really understand what they're going through. So we try to like bring our knowledge into like our programs offering. So what we can offer that actually brings value to these groups of entrepreneurs that we're supporting. And even myself, when I had my own startup, I was part of a lot of different accelerators and business incubators, and I was able to kind of see, at least for me, for my unique needs for my business, what I like and what I didn't like from each accelerator, and then yeah, trying to bring that into our offerings here at iCube, but at the same time, like finding a way of collaborating with all the other accelerators that are part of even the University of Toronto, because the University of Toronto has 12 accelerator programs. So we need to find our space within that competitive landscape, right? So that's also why we're focusing on supporting social entrepreneurs. We are the only accelerator at U of T that does that. And yeah, we have created like an expertise in doing that by building networks of mentors and professionals that specialize also in social entrepreneurship. We've been able to also find our space and our like sweet spot into supporting and caring about equity, diversity, and inclusion, and supporting these social enterprises.
That's really great. That's really great. You know, there is like one more question that's like I personally wanted to know the answer of this. You know, due to the awareness, there are a lot of business incubators are opening in different universities around the world. Like if you talk about me, like I'm an also young startup founder, and I was part of a business incubation center during my university degree in my university. But you know, I like noticed one thing. You know, most of the students left their startup after their degree completes. Like the students who are part of the business incubation center during their degree. So, what's the reason of that? Do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, many. It could be related to like student debt. So a lot of students they go into debt to be able to pay for their studies and housing and accommodations while they're being a student. So sometimes like starting a business is something that is risky. So they prefer to get a job, pay their bills, and then later on, maybe if they have another opportunity, start a business once they are more established, let's say, and they are able to take on that risk. Many of them, because iCube also, we focus on very early stage entrepreneurs, so people at the idea stage. So part of our programs is also kind of helping them realize, is this idea worth pursuing, or you should not pursue this idea because it doesn't make any sense, or you should change it, and so on. So our success rate in terms of ideas, from idea to actual business, is very low, because part of what we want to teach is that process of like validation and making sure that there's a market fit for what they're building. Like, you have identified a problem, you're building a solution. You need to make sure that people are willing to pay for that, and people want what you're building. So while they do all that research, they might be realizing that it's not a problem that a lot of people are experiencing. There's no market for this, or they realize how complicated it might be to even tackle that market. So they sometimes decide like not to pursue that idea any further. There's other accelerators that focus on supporting startups at later stages. So when they already have products, they already are in the market and making some revenue, they help them like grow and scale. But iCube, we help them mostly like at the early stages, into making sure like, okay, you have this idea, you have identified a problem. We can show you what the next steps would be, but also making sure that we help you realize whether or not your idea is worth pursuing, and if it makes sense for you to like spend a lot of money, resources, and time into like building this company, versus potentially doing something else. And a lot of the skills that they learn while being part of our programs helps them to become like intrapreneurs too. So if they decide that they want to work for a company or a larger organization, they already have that entrepreneurial mindset, and that like problem solving skills that might help them be an entrepreneur in that organization by creating new products, coming up with new ideas of how to prove things, and so on. And yeah, we're happy that we are part of the training that helps like build those skills, even though like they might not necessarily end up having a business on their own and being an entrepreneur owning their company, but they might be an entrepreneur within an existing company, and that's something that is good for us too.
Yeah, I'm also in my entrepreneur phase right now because I
Okay.
recently did my first exit after my university. Actually, I started my startup during my university, got incubated in my university business incubation center. So yeah, that's the like most of what do you say? Like, most of the university incubators are like only for the students. Like whenever you graduated from the university, you will also graduated from the business incubation center. So what's your advice to those startups? What should they do after like graduation? Because after graduation there is a lot of pressure on the student to
Yeah.
get a good job, to do something, and like they are also very confused in their career just right after the graduation. So what do you suggest like a startup founder who just graduated from a university and a business incubation center as well? So what he should do?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, to that point, I also wanted to mention that I'm a professor at Sheridan College, and I teach a course that is called Introduction to Studies in Creativity. And I mean, there's a lot of scientific research that shows that experience and expertise in a domain. So the more experience you have in a domain and the more expertise you have, the more likely you will be to create like creative products in that domain, right? And there's even like a benchmark of 10 years that some research suggests that 10 years of experience in one domain, it's what you need in order to come up with a creative product that will be successful. So yeah, usually people after that also they graduate, they need to get that experience in order to like get more expertise and more insights into like their area of expertise or their domain, so they can identify problems and they can come up with solutions for that problems that are more impactful, more creative. So many accelerators are part of universities. They support mostly students and recent grads, and we've seen that as a problem with iCube, and that's why at iCube we're open to all alumni of U of T. Doesn't matter how many years ago they graduated, and we're also open to community members, so people that have no ties with U of T, but live in the region and they want to participate for our programs, they can also apply for our programs and they are eligible for those. And yeah, mostly like out of our portfolio, we have like roughly 50% of our startups are student-led, 25% are alumni-led, and 25% are from people that are in the community that have no ties with the university, and they were like accepted into our programs. Of course, there are more resources available at the university level for students and recent alumni. But yeah, we're one of the very few accelerators that is part of a university that accepts community members and accepts alumni that doesn't really matter when they graduated, if that was like a long time ago or recently. And yeah, one of the things that we care about that domain expertise, because there's actually research that shows that the more years of experience they have in a domain, the more likely they are with coming up with a real innovative solution. Uh, and yeah, we take that research into our programs, I guess.
That's great. That's great. By the way, I recently got a question. Like, I think it's a very important question to ask from you. Like, do you think like can students who are on the student visa can be part of the IQ?
Yeah, students are with a student visa. Yeah, for sure, they can be part of iCube. We have partners with the International Education Office here at U of T to like advertise our programs more to international students. So they are aware that iCube is also available for them as well, and it's not just for like Canadians in a way, right? So um, yeah, so we are a lean team, so we're a very small team at iCube. It's like three of us full time. But yeah, we want like outreach something that we want to improve, and we want international students to be aware that they are eligible for our programs as well.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, Ignacio, like being an immigrant in Canada, how it feels like to be a part of like such a diverse culture, because there are like people from all over the world bringing all the cultures all together in one city. Like how it feels like to be living in a multi-dimensional cultural city and multicultural city, and also like being a startup founder, because startup founder always see an opportunity in everything. So how do you see this multicultural thing as an opportunity for startup founder?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I liked a lot living in Toronto. I mean, despite the weather, Toronto is a very diverse city, like you mentioned. And Canada is a country that has been built by immigrants, and like immigrants and immigration like plays a huge part in the economy and the ecosystem and the entrepreneurship landscape as well. So yeah, Canada is a country that is basically composed by people that have migrated here. So I mean, it's very diverse. People bring their ideas from wherever they're from, um, like anything from like food taste to like more like scientific and technology based, like startup companies. So yeah, you can see kind of everything, and I mean a lot of like diversity perspectives. Even being from Uruguay, like a country that has only 3 million people, I have run into Uruguayan entrepreneurs, just one actually here in Canada. Also working at the university, but also conducting a lot of research. So being a professor, uh, this other Uruguayan being a professor at the university and like trying to commercialize the research. So yeah, it's been interesting to see like how like cultural differences like play an important role in like creativity and how that enhances and allows for creativity and innovation in terms of like entrepreneurship to also happen. So yeah, it's been good. It's been good here. It's been good here, and I've been able to see that myself. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. By the way, there is very famous meme in India and Pakistan circulating these days about Canada, you know. So, have you are also a professor in university. So, have you ever taught a class where there are all Indians or all immigrants in a class?
I'm a professor at Sheridan College, so I teach a course that is called Introduction to Studies in Creativity. My classes are very diverse, and actually, the one of the key topics of our class is culture, and more specifically, anthropology is what studies like basically human behavior, societies, and culture, and so on. There's like cultural anthropology. So and that branch of anthropology studies how culture and creativity are like influenced by different domains, and how like the more diverse a culture is can also be like a good trigger for inspiring creativity. Um, so yeah, no, I like teaching to like diverse classes because they bring a lot of ideas. They have like different points of view and different perspectives, and that makes the class more entertaining for me and also more enriching for the students, I think.
Yeah, that's great. So, by the way, Ignacio, you were telling us about like the go-to-market strategy. Like in iCube, you guys are more focusing on like the go-to-market strategies of startups first. And also like you are also an ex-startup founder. So what do you think like what's the ideal go-to-market strategy looks like?
Well, it's very unique for every startup, right? Because like some startups, for example, if they're working in the healthcare environment, regulations there are very tough. So it takes like a long time to bring their idea into a real product. So their go-to-market strategy will be different. Differently if it's like a startup that is like creating a product that is more tangible. They would have like a different go-to strategy, depending who they're selling to, who their audience is. So it's important to know where to find them, how to sell to them, and so on. So we rely a lot in our mentors to help us with that. So we have a lot of mentors that are part of the iCube team. Some of them are volunteer mentors, and others are not volunteer mentors, but most of them are volunteer mentors that they have a lot of experience by being entrepreneurs and by also creating products and having a lot of like industry experience. So they are the ones that, depending like on the industry and depending on where the startup is at, they work with them very closely to make sure that they have like a go-to-market strategy that makes sense for what they're building, for their audiences, for their industry, and for everything that is in relation to their business. So yeah, we definitely rely on them heavily to be able to provide that specialized advice and even those connections, helping them connect. That might be also part of their go-to-market strategy by connecting them to potential partners, potential clients, and so on to like help them test the water and also like make those value like build the networks and being able to potentially be more successful in the deployment of their product, their startup, and so on.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much, Ignacio, for jumping onto Founders Kahani and addressing with our audience. And on the last, I'm also part of Gen Z. So Gen Z always finds a cool spot in every serious discussion. So now I have a very cool question from you. If I give you a chance to invite three people on your dinner table, dead or alive, who that will be?
Oh, wow. Um, if you give me a chance to invite three people to my dinner table, who would there be?
Dead or
Uh,
alive?
Sorry?
Dead or alive? It could be anyone.
Dead or alive? Okay. Well, I mean, I have to say, one of them would be Kylie Minogue. She's a singer from Australia, and I'm a little bit of a fan. So, I think for like, it would be nice for me to know, like have that person at my dinner table would be like a humbling experience for me. I know you were hoping for me to say like more like intellectuals or like potentially
No,
startup
no, it's
founders,
not judgmental.
but yeah, Kylie Minogue would be different. Definitely like one of the people that I'd be interested in having in our table in my table. There's a politician that I'm would be interested to talk to, the Canadian politician. Her name is Elizabeth May. I actually have her book here with me, and she was the leader of the Green Party for many years in Canada, and she's an activist in terms of like environmental sustainability issues. I guess sustainability and the environment are also things that I very interested about, and I've also considered potentially politics in the future because I think that's like a way of making potential change faster
So we
by
will
working
see
in
you
politics.
soon in running for the prime minister can as well.
Yeah, maybe not that much, but I might be interested in having some like political influence to promote like sustainable practices to be able to potentially save the world from dying because of climate change and other things that are happening. So
Yeah.
Elizabeth May might be someone that I'd be interested in like knowing her thoughts and learning more about because that's like kind of interest that I have in the back of my mind. But who knows? Maybe one day I will make the jump into politics, or maybe I won't. But maybe like a discussion with someone like her would either motivate me or stop me from like having those thoughts. So there's two people right there, and the third person. Um, I don't know. I would have to give you some more thought to know who the third person is, but I guess at least I gave you two out of three for this question that you asked me.
Yeah, okay, okay. That's very nice answers, by the way. Like it's very different and it's very, but I asked this question from like a lot of people from around the world. And most of the common answer is Elon Musk.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Uh, Great achievements, but I don't know that I align with Elon Musk in a lot of his ideals. I mean, would be interesting to have um, for sure have a conversation with him, but maybe not at my dinner table.
Yeah, that